myself, another EDS candidate named Tiffany Fuqua, and Tammy Harper. So here's our program. So in our induction, we want to make sure that you as new teachers know the things that are going to keep you out of trouble and help you be successful. So to kick off with, we need to talk about a little bit about the legal issues and the confidentiality of all the student records and things like that. About that, make sure that when you're talking, sometimes we have to have those conversations with our co-teachers and our special education teachers, that we're mindful of where those conversations take place and all the little ears that could be around. So we just want to make sure that we don't, maybe the lunch table is not the best place to have those conversations, so that we don't get ourselves in trouble with confidentiality. Same with student records. We've got those folders. It's got a lot of information about our students in there, so we want to make sure that we go through the proper protocol, sign off when we access those records, and make sure that whatever we get, we use, and it goes back to its proper place. So the supervision here, that's the one thing that if it ever comes to task, if it something that were to ever get to the point where we go to trial, that's the one thing that there's really not a defense for. And over the years, I can show you case after case where people got in trouble when there was a lack of supervision. So one of the things that always needs to be on the forefront of what you do is supervising your kids. Okay, when they are left unattended, believe it or not, they will find things to do that we don't want them to do. So they can even manage that sometimes when we are attending to them. So, and then the appropriate treatment of students. We've got a code of conduct, and that kind of sets the parameters for what we can and can't do and how we're going to treat. But for those of you that grew up when I did, there was the movie Roadhouse with Patrick Swayze in it. That may be why my son's name is Dalton. But he says in there to his other bartenders, we're going to be nice. Okay, so above all, be kind, be nice to your students. They're going to push your buttons, and there's things to do when that happens. Okay, but we're going to operate in the code of conduct how we're going to react to those cases when our buttons are pushed. Okay. Then ethical issues. This is really talking about what we have to do here at our school, the vision that we have. Okay, so our primary goal as educators is to love on and educate these children that are here every day. We're going to do that by valuing every person, and that's not just limited to the kids, but also the people you work with, the other teachers, and the staff, the support staff that's here as well. Everybody in the building matters, and everybody in the building contributes to the culture and climate that we have here. And so we want everybody to understand their value, and in order for us to do that, that's not just the principal making sure that people know that, but if we all know, if everybody knows to each other how much we're valued, then that contributes to a place where we want to work. Then the devotion to excellence, that's something that when I worked here when I was at the middle school, we had a little saying called sustain the pace. STP, we even had shirts made up with STP on it, because to whom much is given, much is required. You have a lot here. There's a lot in this system, resource-wise, to help you accomplish the things that you do at the level that you do on a daily basis. So that takes a commitment to excellence for us to be able to do that. And then as a teacher, that pursuit of knowledge. Everybody here needs to be lifelong learners, and everybody needs to understand that no matter how long we've been doing it, how old we get, there's always going to be something to learn. And I'm always going to want to push myself to learn. In the last 3 years working at Amazon, I've been shown things in math that I didn't know before. And I taught successfully depends on who you ask, I guess, but I taught successfully in the classroom for a long time. And now I'm learning that I shortchanged them on some things because I didn't know. All right, so don't ever be satisfied. Don't ever be content with where you are in your content knowledge and pedagogy. Always be pushing that envelope and that limit to make yourself better. And then, at the end of the day, we want to produce people that are going to go out and contribute to Social Security so that when we get old, we have some money to spend to buy groceries and stuff like that. So we need these people to go out there and be successful in the world when they leave us. So for our ethics and our behaviors, basically, that we adhere to, there's a set of parameters and a code for us to follow. So it defines our behaviors. It's a guide to our conduct that we're going to need to adhere to. It outlines safety, health, welfare, all of that stuff. Objective behaviors. It gives definitions and clear examples of what's not ethical. Some of that's kind of fun that they have to put that in writing, but at the same time they've had to put it in writing for those that make the news, make us all look bad. But it's made up of 9 standards, and so what I've included is a link on this PowerPoint slide, and this will be given to you. So what we would want to do with this is too much to talk about right now for this overview. But what I would have you do as your administrator is I would give you this link and have you go back and start to look at these, and then we would have a little bit of a follow-up with the things that I wanted to make sure that we were good on, but then also it would come back in our program as you're going to see it in just a minute, because there's a monthly goal that we have set for this as well. So just as just to kind of touch the surface, your standards 1 through 4 include your professional conduct, those expectations, trustworthiness, unlawful acts, teacher-student relationships. Then for standards 5 through 9, alcohol, drug, tobacco use or possession, public funds and property. The number 7 is remunerative conduct, the maintenance and confidentiality, and the abandonment of the contract. So, like I said, I don't want to get real bogged down in what all of these are today, but I did provide that link and give you a homework assignment, going back and reading those things, and then I will come back in and touch base with you later on those. So in this process, there's lots of stuff here that we have to do to make our school run like it does, okay? And so these programs that we have, like for example, special education and everything that has to go into that, what we will do with the mentoring program is kind of show you how we can keep track of all the paperwork and know what we need to do for those students with IEPs, those students with 504 plans, and then other processes like RTI or PST, as you know it, okay, and what all has to go into all that for us to be doing what we need to do. Our assessment process, IEP meetings, and all the things that take place with that, and then how we place. Like when I was sitting up in the office just a minute ago, there's somebody calling to enroll. So when we get a new student here, there's a process that they go through with assessments to make sure that we place them in the places that they can be most successful. So that's all part of the everyday goings on here that we do to ensure the success of our students. So for the English language learner, basically just like the IEP and the 504 plan, there's a plan. You need to know it, need to follow that plan.
Hadley Sampson, please come to the office to check out. Hadley Sampson.
And just like we want to communicate effectively with our support personnel for our special education teachers, how we can best serve those students, we have ELL support too, and there's a way that we can best serve those students. So that good communication as professionals puts us in the best place to be successful with those students. So, parents that can't speak English are parents too. And those parents want to be involved with their students' lives as much as any other parent would. The fact that that language barrier can be hard on us doesn't take away from what they want to be able to do in their students' lives. So finding a way to increase their involvement in what's taking place at school means that if we need their support, if we can, if there's something goes on, if they're vested and they know that we care enough to be able to communicate with them, then they're going to be there to help us support when we need them. So the other thing about this is ask questions. We're a team, okay? You have a mentor that's going to be assigned to you, but it's not, it's not just limited to their input. So if there's something going on with that, just ask questions, because there's always things that can be learned. So we have a mentoring plan. So from that plan, the purpose of having a mentor is to support you in the first year, to help you know everything that becomes second nature to veterans. There was a lot of things, like for example, when I was in the classroom, I made kind of a repeating task list for each month, so that next year I wasn't surprised by things that I was surprised by the first year, okay? And so we want to have our mentors help you foresee things coming so that you're not caught off guard and you can plan accordingly and minimize the adverse effects of things that have to be done. Also, like I mentioned before, there's a lot of resources here, there's a lot of tools. So, like Blackboard and other things that we use. So all the tools that you have at your disposal, our mentors are going to help you through the learning to use those processes and all that stuff to be able to get through the day. Now the process for becoming a mentor, so let me tell you how we selected our mentors. It was on a voluntary basis. And then it had to be somebody that contributes positively to the climate of the school. Okay? In other words, if there's any negative Nancy's in the building, those people are probably not going to be selected as a mentor, because we want you to have a positive experience of somebody influencing you. Okay? So, that's just human nature. If you get with somebody that's positive, you're more positive. If you get with somebody that's negative, you can allow that to drag you down. So, administratively, we want to select the people to be mentors that are going to increase positivity and not drag us down. So, our mentoring plan, the graphic is kind of from the bottom up, but you'll also notice it has a top-down nature, and that it starts with the district support. So, we have our district personnel, but also our instructional coaches, partners, as we call them, that are going to come in and help in this way. But notice that I said a training on adult learning. So the bottom line is, as a new teacher, we don't treat you like an adult, not like a child. So it's really coming alongside to be able to help, but not necessarily, giving you home. I said you had a homework assignment earlier, but that, not treating you like a child, basically. So. Then there is direction and focus will be determined by administration. Also, that even though you have a mentor that you'll be working with side by side, as administration, there will be some influence that I can place on the direction of learning that will take care of things that I see that could help you be more successful. So I would be in communication with both you and your mentor to make sure that we were all on the same page to get you where you need to go. And then there is a content outline that I'm about to share with you by month, because we're going to have some directed goals by month. So let me say about these is after one of these happen, we can always go back to that, but at the same time, we're not limited to what that is in a month. So we would be able to fit in what we need to be able to meet your needs for that particular point in time in the year. So in August, we're just going to get this thing started, getting to know you, and you getting to know your mentor, and those essentials in August that you need to know in order to be able to survive that first week of school. Because that first week of school is always fun. Okay? And then get you through the first month, and then so on. So with that first month, there's not really a clear thing that we're going to focus on. So as things come up, make sure that you just ask your mentor, and always feel free to ask me as well if you have something that needs attention. So then September comes, there's a lot of testing that takes place. So we're going to get you used to the testing process that is in our school system, and it's extensive. So we've got to learn all those processes and how we do all that and keep up with that, and then how we implement it throughout the year. So then I mentioned RTI earlier, so we're going to get you don't have to be intimidated by that process. We have a process that we follow, and we're going to help walk through that so that you know. Then intervention, enrichment, how all that's set up, and so by the time we talk to you about all that, we'll kind of already be doing some of that, so that it will kind of take care of itself. So when we get to December, we're going to take a breath and breathe in and think back through and reflect on the first half of school. Use your Christmas break to kind of get your sanity back about you and recharge, and think about how we're going to attack the rest of the school year. So in January, we're going to help you get, if you haven't already gotten started with your mentor, but we're going to kind of focus on making sure you're meeting the requirements of Educate Alabama, helping you through that in your first year so that you don't have to feel overwhelmed with that when it comes down to deadlines and all that stuff. So we will be working with you, and then there will be some observations taking place that I'll come in and do. So for February, we're going to concentrate on learning walks. So up until this point in time of the year, you have focused on your classroom and your instruction in that room. But what we want you to be able to do and see is the instruction that takes place outside of your classroom, that's going on right next to you and down the hall and across the building, so that you kind of get a sense of how you fit into the grand scheme of things. And we would like to focus on some of the strengths of our people so that you can see what we do well, and then how does that kind of, is there some of those things that you might want to pick up, and then what are your strengths that we could at some point in time walk them around and let them see. So now we're in March, and man, the year is flying by, but you will know in your first year that it does fly by. So in March, one of the things that's happening is May's coming. So we're going to talk about our failure risk and our supports, and also making sure that we have communicated that. So what I'm saying is that if we retain a kid, that shouldn't be a surprise to anybody. It shouldn't be a surprise to the kid. It shouldn't be a surprise to the parents. It shouldn't be a surprise to our RTI, PST group. That's been communicated throughout, so that we've done everything that we can do from our end to help make that child successful. Okay? And then that gets us to state testing. Man, that's always fun. And so one of the things that happened in training there is one day you'll come in and I'll completely overwhelm you with everything that you can and can't do during testing. But then your mentor will come behind and tell you that it'll be okay and you're going to survive it, and it's not that big a deal. But we will help you through that state testing process. And then we reflect. In May, after state testing, we're going to exhale and reflect on the year, our successes, our things that we could have done a little bit better, or changes that we want to make for the next year. And that's make goals for the next year. How can we improve? What can we go ahead and be thinking about over the summer, so that when I come back in August, that we're ready to go for a year or two. Okay? So you know that we're one-to-one, so we can't have a new teacher induction mentoring thing without talking about the dangers that exist due to us being one-to-one. So it is important that our students have access to this type of technology, and that they know how to work, and they know how it can help them enhance their education. At the same time, not all of our students are going to try to use what we intend for good as good. Sometimes they're going to try to use that for evil, so we need to know that and understand it, and be able to put some things in place, like our acceptable use policy is going to be in place, and you need to understand that as well as being able to communicate that to our students. So like the personal devices, we're going to take those up in homeroom and send them to the front office, and then we'll bring those back at the end of the day so that we don't have those in the building during the day. There comes a lot of liability with technology, so we're going to make sure that we understand what our liabilities are with that. We're going to have those signed technology agreements on file from our students and parents. And then that last part, as a teacher at a one-to-one initiative school, everybody has to understand and accept the responsibility that comes with it. Dr. Goodwin says that, and I know you've heard it if you've been there, that our kids we're digital immigrants, they're digital natives. They know how to use a lot of this stuff a lot better than we do. But at the same time, some of the ways that they use it, they don't understand. I'm certainly glad that when I was growing up, not everybody had a recorder in their hand. Because there were some times I got by with some things where I didn't tell my dad the exact truth, but if it would have been on record in video, I'd have gotten in real bad trouble. So these kids are growing up in that time where they're going to make decisions and it's going to be captured on video. That being said, we need them to think about that. And we're asking kids in the 5th and 6th grade, in the 4th grade, in the 3rd grade to think about the ramifications that has for them and for their lives. So we have to teach them some digital responsibility and citizenship along the way. So that's just an overview of what we're doing. So our next steps past this meeting will be to get you introduced and paired up with your mentor. You've seen the plan, so we're going to implement the plan and get started on your pathways to success. We've already said that you're going to review those. We're going to review those code of ethics, and I'll meet with you on that to make sure that we're good to go on the code of ethics. Do y'all have any questions?